Can you give me one financial blind spot most SMEs miss?
The two most dominant ones will be
Meet Karen McFadden, founder of Money Insights and the fairy godmother of Money Matches. She built Money Insights to help UK startups and SMEs finally understand money without overwhelm. Her early trial attracted 70 members and generated over £2 million in Money Matches.
The UK finance landscape, in your perspective, is it fragmented or does it just feel that way?
it's completely fragmented and there's so many things that are backwards with it.
I see your content online. I want you to tell our audience right now what's different about your content.
Because I'm not an accountant and I'm not an IFA and I don't give financial advice, I have the freedom to play around with content. I don't have to be so regulatory with how word things. Get to know your target audience as deeply as possible. Really get to know who you're selling to and don't make assumptions on their behalf. Ask them awkward questions as in why are you not buying this? Why are you not engaging with this? Because you want to understand how to speak on their level and you want to understand how to make your prospect more attractive.
Welcome everyone today to this edition. Today we are going to be talking about the most important part of building a business, which is the money insight. So today we have with us Karen, and she's going to be telling us how to make money from our business, how to save money and get those opportunities that we never know that are usually flying under our radar. So today we have Karen of Mimi Insight. Welcome once again, Karen.
Hi, thank you very much, Kyrie, for having me.
How are you today?
Good, yes.
And how is your baby too?
He is good, yes. 5 months mark just passed, so
Awesome.
I'm glad you can fit us both in the screen.
Awesome. Congratulations once again on the baby.
Wonderful, thank you.
So when founders hear Money Insight and Mimi the money matchmaker, what's the fastest way to explain the problem that you are trying to solve or you are actually solving?
Okay, so I suppose it's in the name, Money Insights. So my company shares insights all around money in the business world. And those insights cover finding money, saving money, and just simply understanding how it works in business. And Mimi is our latest development. So she's an MVP stage, and she's an AI-powered money matchmaker. So we're basically trying to make money easy, because that's the problem in business. Money is hard, it's complicated, it's overwhelming, it's very complex, and it really, really stumbles the majority of business owners, particularly startups and SMEs. So Money Insights and Mimi are trying to make it easy, and the whole concept behind the business is financial matchmaking. So that's what Mimi will do.
Awesome.
And essentially, what she wants to do in a heartbeat is learn about a business, highlight financial blind spots that they could be missing, and then match those blind spots to finance experts in a matter of clicks.
Wow.
Because right now that takes a lot of manual effort and a lot of asking questions and a lot of time wasted to come up with nothing. So we're wanting to do that in moments.
Awesome. So give me a story where a small UK business owner have used this and they've gotten results.
Sure. Well, I'll maybe give you 2 examples because
Awesome.
they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Myself as a founder. So if you imagine, don't think I'm the founder of Money Insights. Think that I run Karen's Cupcake Shop. All right. I have used the insights from Money Insights, and I have secured £23,000 in grant funding
Wow.
from the government, from Scottish Government. I've also saved £2,500 in legal fees through one of the initiatives that we shared. And my general know-how and confidence around how money works in business now is astronomical. I used to think that you had to be a brain box to run a business. I used to think that you had to be so elite, so intelligent, know everything about everything, and that's how good business owners ran. And now I understand that no, it's if you have financial intelligence and some financial know-how, you can run a business.
Awesome.
So that's my own personal story. And then the opposite one would be one of our members was in the maritime space. So they're a maritime manufacturer. And they were very, very well versed in grant funding. So they'd been successful with applying for grants before. But they had read an article that I put out called Compare the Market. grant writers. So it was basically comparing the partners that we have within the Money Insights community. And that article helped generate a money match. So this maritime company was matched with a grant writer. They had a conversation together, and the grant writer managed to secure 1.3 million in funding for the member.
Wow.
So that's a grant that was completely missed by the business owner, sitting right under their nose, but they're just busy. They don't know, they don't know all the questions to ask. They don't know all the pots of funding to look at, and that's the value of a grant writer, being matched to them. So that was a 1.3 million one, and they're now working on their next application for a European Space Agency grant, again with $1 million plus looking to secure.
Wow. And again, guys, this is from spending about 10 to 20 quid to get all of these insights, getting matched. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we ran an early adopters trial at the very beginning to test the theory, and this was me during my scrappy mode, really just testing the concept. Would business owners be willing to pay to be part of a community like this? And during that early adopter trial, we onboarded 70 users, uncovered 2.5 million in money matches, and generated £20,000 for ourselves as revenue. So
Can you take that again, please?
Of course. So we during our early adopters trial, we onboarded 70 users. We generated 2.5 million in money matches between the users, and from those matches, we generated £20,000 revenue. So that was to prove the concept worked. However, we did want to keep the concept of, this is a community based at startups and SME founders. So we've bumped it up to £20 a month.
Which is still a bargain.
Absolutely. And really, you kind of have to ask yourself the question, look, is paying £20 a month worth it to feel better about money, to feel more confident with it, to know more on how to maximise it and get the most from it in my business? Am I willing to pay £20 a month to be part of a world that educates me on that? That's the question you need to ask, and if the answer is yes, then join.
Wow. That doesn't make any sense. I'm spending £20 to make that huge amount of money. If you are a business owner, of course, look around this video for the links to join. I'm joining myself too.
Super.
Yeah.
Well, that was an easy pitch.
Yeah, it was. I'm sold. So you are 5-6 months into building the business?
Yeah, probably about 10 months now.
10 months.
But when I originally launched the company, I had an English registered company. So I've now changed that, and we now have a Scottish registered one, and that began in May. So I suppose if you're going by financial years, yes, about 5 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where I'm actually going is, you've been running this business for about 10 months,
Sure.
and you are 5 months pregnant.
Yes.
How has the pregnancy, how has it impacted your you being able to carry out your founder duty? And is there any struggle? How does that world look like?
Great question. And, I suppose being honest here, so I'm 35, and my husband and I, we didn't want to put it off having a family. And I don't really think it's fair in the industry that women have to choose, do you want a career or do you want to build a family? Because actually, we can have both if you do it right. And I suppose for myself, my initial thought was, okay, if I'm going to do this, how can I set up a sustainable business that can run without me having to be in it on a day-to-day basis?
Awesome.
And so I thought, right, I have to build a team, because Mimi is, tech, it's fintech, so she needs a tech developer. I need someone to get excitement built around Money Insights, so I need a go-to-market strategy. And I need a sort of coach, operations manager, because I don't have a co-founder. So I thought, okay, so I need those kind of expertise in the team. And I secured £20,000 from the Scottish Government through the Pathways to Scale initiative, which is fantastic. And that's Pathways to Scale, and it's helping ambitious female founders to progress their businesses. And so I'm putting that 20,000 towards building phase 1 of Me. And by the time it comes to me leaving for maternity, phase 1 should be up and running. She should be generating automated matches in the grants world. And those matches should hopefully turn into real money for the members and then commission for myself, because that's how we generate some revenue. So it is scary and it is a big decision, but I'm thinking, okay, well, there is help out there available to set your business up to be as sustainable as possible. Another example is I'm through to the semi-finals of Scottish Edge, round 26. Again, another Scottish competition that's helping ambitious founders push their ideas forward. So again, I'm sort of dipping into as many pools as possible to secure the funding I need to ensure that we're building a high-growth, sustainable business where I don't have to be there 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So that's what I'm working on over the next 4 months, whilst we have left before maternity. And all I can ask for is just everyone to wish me the best of luck.
Of course. Everyone is wishing you the best of luck, and we are hoping you win. We know you win. So which takes me to the next question. You've already done about £2 million plus in money matches, and the next question will be that what qualifies as a money match?
Sure. So a money match is ultimately between a business owner and a finance expert. Okay. So the business owner would typically be a member, as I would call them, and the finance expert would be a partner, within the Money Insights community. And really, what we're matching them to is what I call a financial blind spot. So these blind spots are everything and anything from grants to tax incentives to pensions to loans to funding competitions, whatever it may be, whatever helps the member find or save money, that's what we're making the match between. And the idea is that by generating this match, we're basically saying to the member, look, here's a money topic that you've shown some interest in. You perhaps didn't realise you were entitled to it, or you perhaps didn't even realise that it existed. Because you've shown interest in that insight, here's a partner that you should maybe speak to. And then that's where the match would generate.
That's brilliant. I don't think I've heard of or seen any business model like that. It looks like something that will scale. So which brings me again to the next question. What do you believe about business finance that most founders, business owners get wrong?
Gosh, where to start? And I'm no expert in money. I'm not an accountant or an IFA, so I can't give financial advice. But certainly what I've found from working with this target market for a decade plus is business owners are so busy. I mean, they're building their dreams, they're building their empires, and they just do not have time to keep a track of all of these financial incentives or blind spots that are available. And I always feel like the biggest mistake that's made is money always comes second. So if you imagine a founder that, they've experienced a problem or they've seen a gap in the industry and they want to close that gap or solve that problem. So they come up with an idea. And then, they get encouraged by YouTube videos and mentors and investors and all these networks. They get encouraged to really think, well, how far can this idea go? Can you take it worldwide? Can you go international? How can it scale? And so you start to really, at the very beginning, get this understanding that, this is going to take millions to build, so I need to go out to an investor straight away. And they miss 100 steps before investors should even be talked to. Excuse me. And those steps, those are the scrappy steps where you can get small lumps of cash from the government or from family and friends or private investment or even organic revenue. And I feel like a lot of business owners, money and the idea, they should just go hand in hand. And I feel like a lot of founders, they miss all of these scrappy steps to really test the theory. So an example, I mean, for myself with Money Insights, I had to understand, is this something, first of all, that business owners would pay for? And is it something that actually is engaging to the business world, the UK economy? You know, are they interested in financial matchmaking? Would they appreciate something to make money easier? And so what I done was I set up the website, which was minimal cost. And then I charged £10 a month to be part of this. And from those £10 revenues, it's generated some matches, and that matches has then generated commission for me. So, you know, that to me then made me think, okay, well, £10 a month isn't enough. You know, that's minimal money. I can't live off that from 70 users. So I need to build some tech. I need to make this more sophisticated. I need to scale. And so then I thought, how do I do that? Okay, I need to go to a tech developer, and I need to establish a phase 1 MVP. So how much is that going to cost me? So before I even consider speaking to investors, before I consider giving away any equity in my business, I need to test that this concept is actually going to work. And this is where I need small pockets of money, and that's where I feel business owners really, really miss out. They just skip, which is unfortunate, because there's a lot of money out there that can help you without giving one share of equity away.
That's brilliant. I love the way you reason through the money models, money model for the business, which is that you don't just run ahead to start building something without thinking about the money. Where did you learn this from?
Trial and error, honestly. Essentially, you've heard of fail fast.
Yeah.
So you really need to just throw yourself into things. And I think having a sales background maybe helps with that, because with sales, you're used to getting no's. You're used to cold calling. You're used to going out there, giving everything away and getting one thing back, you know. So I think that's perhaps, helped build the mentality around, right, I'm just going to go out there and try this and see if it works. There's not really, you don't really have time to be nervous in business or scared. You have to just go for it and see. So yeah, I'd probably say that the sales background has helped me with that.
Wow. I think the best business owners are usually people from the sales background, because salespeople just know how to go for the money.
Oh, do you know what? It's it's a whole host of things. I mean, of course, it's businesses I've worked with, and truth be told, actually, making the transition from being fully employed in a secure job to being self-employed and running your own show, that's a huge step. And I probably wouldn't have actually had the confidence to do it had I not worked for a company before called Catax. They've now been bought over by Ryan, and they're still one of my close partners. And they had this opportunity to, they were specialists in tax services. So they had this opportunity where instead of me being an employee, I could be an agent, where I still brought them business. I still done the same job that I'd done when I was in sales. But instead of making a wage, I made commission. And so that was a really nice step into, okay, well, this isn't so scary, because I know the R&D tax world. I know the capital allowances world. I've already got a client base set up, so it wasn't a complete new leap into self-employment. And I've done that for 5 years now. So it was a really nice, again, I was lucky to have a team like that. I was lucky to work for a company like that gave me that opportunity. So I think, the sales background has definitely helped me, and the work opportunities that I've had in the past has been useful too.
Your CV runs from Regus to Sweepy to Catax, Ryan, and now to Money Insight.
Yep, diverse.
What pattern did you see? What pattern did you see that made you say, I am going to create this opportunity for myself?
Well, I suppose I've had the privilege to work with a startup company like Swipey, as it was back then, all the way up to corporate, global businesses like Monster Recruitment. So I've had the opportunity to work with a complete scale of businesses, and probably what I noticed, the pattern between them all, was how they handle money. Their understanding around how to maximize it, how to get the most out of it. And when it came to working with the smaller companies, that's where I saw, the founders are so in the business that it's sometimes hard for them to look from the outside in. And, what these small companies are trying to do, they're trying to disrupt their industries. They're trying to revolutionize the space that they're in. And of course, they're so passionate about that. But because of that, they don't kind of pull their head out the sand sometimes, and they let opportunities pass them by. And it's simply just because there really is so much support out there, but it's impossible to know always where to look or who to talk to or what questions to ask. So I suppose I noticed that there was basically these companies missing out on financial opportunities that the big boys had, the big corporate companies had, because they've got big teams and they've got, one of the top 4 accountants to work with. So they're sorted. So yeah, I sort of noticed that startups and SMEs are the ones that are most impacted when it comes to embracing financial opportunities. And I thought there needs to be something easier to help these businesses, first of all, find these opportunities, but then get matched to the people that can turn that money into reality.
Wow. What's financial, because you talk about financial blind spot a lot. Can you give me one financial blind spot most SMEs miss?
Sure. Well, probably the 2 most dominant ones will be tax incentives, so maximising your tax position. And the other one will be grant funding. I mean, at the end of the day, grant funding is government cash. It's there to support you, to move your business forward. And the unfortunate thing about grants is that it's an extremely complex landscape. Very intense, very convoluted, and it can be quite hard to navigate without the right help. If you win the money, superb. But getting to that stage, you need a good bit of help. And I'd say that's an area that they really miss out on.
Who is Karen before this company? What skill sets or worldview made you uniquely able to build this money hub?
That's a really interesting question. Well, I suppose it's important to note that I didn't become self-employed until the age of 30. So up until then, I was very much taught, go to school, go to uni, work hard, get a good job, work your way up in the job. That was kind of, my thinking for a long time. And, I had some great companies that I worked with and I made some good money, and that was a nice, comfortable lifestyle. But when I transitioned into the self-employed world, you'll know yourself, you're steering your own ship, you're your own boss, you then have your own visions, your own ambitions, and you really meet a new side of yourself where you go, wow, you can do that, you can run a business, you know about this stuff, and you know about the money, and you know where to get it, and you kind of impress yourself a bit. And I would say, that the second part of your question, from a skill set perspective, particularly, I think this main idea came particularly from working in the tax industry. So when I was employed by Catax back in 2018, that was my first introduction to research and development tax relief, or patent box relief, or capital allowances relief. These are all tax incentives that businesses can go for. And really, the long and short of what I learned was, if you are doing XYZ activity in your business, there is a tax incentive that might match that. And I just naively assumed that accountants would be all over that. I just thought, well, surely an accountant would know how to maximise that for you. But tax is a very, very niche subject. It's very specialised, and it's not something that the average Joe accountant will be diving deeply into. They'll know a high level overview, but when it comes to maximising tax incentives and tax reductions, this is where specialist tax advisors need to come to the table and work alongside accountants. So my job was to go out there to the UK SME space and say, by the way, do you know that this tax incentive exists if you're doing XYZ? And the amount of companies that had no idea that these initiatives were out there, it really, really shocked me. And you're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds, millions even, in claims that these companies, it's just sitting right there. And they had no idea. And I was baffled because I thought, wow, how has this not been brought to your attention? You know, how has this not been, when you're sitting with your accountant, you know, how is this not being discussed? And then I started to realise, well, it's not discussed because it's not really the accountant's job to go into that level of detail. It's your job as the business owner to know money. It's your job to know where the money is and how to maximise it. So that's where I started to think, okay, there's out with tax. When I became self-employed, my job was, of course, to still go out there and meet companies and educate them on this stuff and then introduce them to Catax/Ryan now. But because I was self-employed, I had all of these other finance experts approaching me saying, Karen, see when you speak to that manufacturing company about R&D, can you mention about grants as well? Because we can do grant applications and that can help them. And I would say, oh yeah, no, that's right. And then another finance expert would say, Karen, when you're speaking to that hotel owner about capital allowances tax relief, can you also mention to them about business rates? Because they might be overpaying on their business rates and we can help them get it down. And I'd think, oh gosh, yeah, that's a really good compliment. So I just started to see that there's all of these financial rewards out there, all of these ways to reduce your bills, all of these ways to enhance your tax position, get free money from the government, and all of these things are sitting right under business owners' noses and just completely passing them by. And I thought there needs to be a quicker, easier, funner way to get this information to business owners. And that's where I thought, okay, well, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial advisor, but my superpower is taking very complicated money topics and dumbing them down. So when I worked in tax, I had to explain very complicated tax jargon in a very easy, friendly, human way. And that resonated. That's how I won, clients and claims. So that kind of made me think, okay, well, for all the other money topics, we need to really dumb them down. We need to find a way to just, first of all, identify them, and then second of all, make it easy for the average business owner to understand. And that's kind of, what I'm doing with Money Insights. That's what made me think, right, I think I can build a portal that can do that.
Wow. So for you, it seems to me from our conversation, you built a business or a business or an opportunity is being built around what you currently do. Then you are now building technology to scale it.
In a nutshell, yeah, absolutely.
Because most of the time we see people do it the other way around.
Okay.
Where they come up with a very, very nice, fantastic idea.
Uh-huh.
They say, what if I can match this person with this person? They don't know, they have no experience doing,
No, I understand,
no experience. Which for you, I think it's a brilliant thing. And it's one of the major reasons why your business is making money from the get-go. And I love the fact that you tested the business idea, and, you get people voting for the idea with just £10, because it's easy for people to egg you on when you have a business idea. Say, yeah, it's a good idea. Then when you now ask them, would you like to pay for it? That's when you really know if people want to really do that. So I want you to tell me your experience with Catax and Ryan. What did it teach you about how money moves in UK business?
Well, they were very heavy tax involved, so tax focused. So really, that was the world that they opened my eyes to, and really, it was a privilege to work with them and still continue to work with them, because they have now expanded their product range. So they are now grant writing experts. They've brought a team in for that. They've acquired a company. They also have a business rates division. So they're enhancing their services, and really that's great for me, because they are a fantastic organisation for me to recommend my members to go to. They have a multitude of financial services that they can assist with, and I can just say to my members, great, if you like any of these insights, there's a potential match for you. But I think, certainly working with the team when it was Catax, it really did feel like a family. You know, I was up here in Scotland and the main office was down in Manchester. So I was kind of left to run my own devices up here.
Wow.
I had a couple of colleagues. And they really just had trust in me from day one, which was a big ask. And I think because I delivered and, you know, I had started to build the reputation up here for the company, they embraced that, and they didn't have a Scottish contact up until, you know, they opened the office here. So, but building my knowledge around the tax world, that's what really helped me come to this idea behind Money Insights, because I started to realise that, first of all, accountants are not money wizards. They do not know everything about money. And that was my first misconception. I used to think that they were. I used to think that they knew every answer about money. If you had any question about, do you know about this topic, an accountant should be able to sufficiently answer you, you know, on a deep level. And that's not the case. So that was my first big eye-opener. And then I think the second eye-opener was how complex the tax system is. And you absolutely need an expert who is proficient in that world, not just an accountant or not just a standard advisor. You need tax experts on your side. And that's where, again, I started to understand that, okay, well, there must be other areas in business when it comes to money where you need experts, you know, people that make this their bread and butter. And it's so true, you know, when it comes to asset finance, or it comes to pensions, or it comes to, you know, property or international expansion, you need experts in those spaces. And, you know, they're hard to find, you know, which one is best for you. So that's what kind of, working with Catax/Ryan now, it really did help me build my own financial intelligence around the tax world. It helped me understand how money works from a business perspective. Your accountant does not know everything, and actually you as a business owner, it's up to you to go out and find those answers. And because it's up to you, that's where you miss out, because you're busy.
So busy really running the business.
That's it. So that's what really opened my eyes to understand how complicated money gets in business and how many opportunities pass you by simply because you're busy.
Can you give one quick thing that a business owner can do today to save or make money? What should they do?
They should get in touch with Money Insights and join and embrace our ebook, which is called 10 Ways That Money Insights Can Help You Find, Save and Understand Money. And it gives 10 examples of exactly the answer to your question there.
I love that. I love that. For a time-poor founder, you know, having to run your business demands a lot of time for most business owners. For a time-poor founder, you know, a founder who is having to juggle different part of the business, marketing, sales, running the business, the operation, where does overwhelm start? Is it finding money? Is it saving money, or understanding it, or, you know, is it knowing where the opportunities are?
Sure. D, all of the above. I would probably say that I'll talk about my own personal struggles.
Okay.
So my initial thinking was, okay, I've got a runway. I've got some private investment, personal investment I can put to this business idea, and I can get it off the ground. And I made the bad assumption that on day one, I would have 100 members, because I know this industry, I know my client base. Why would customers not pay £10 to be part of this money community? But the mistake I made was I didn't build in public. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I didn't share. I didn't go out there and get traction. I didn't get out and get feedback. So my worry then was, I'm going to run out of money very quickly. And I did. And I have to then think, well, I need to pay myself a wage. So how am I going to do that? And this is where I started to then look at, okay, well, instead of using your own money, Karen, is there other opportunities that I can use other people's money? Not investors, but government. And are there funding programs out there that I can be part of and embrace? So personally for me, it was, how am I going to pay my wage? You know, that was the overwhelm for me. So I have to get smarter about money then. I have to understand, okay, I don't need $1 million, but 20 grand, that could certainly help me automate what I'm trying to do. And I think, again, the overwhelm comes from just the general lack of knowledge around money. I mean, money is a massive topic, from knowing how to spend it wisely. Where the hell do you get it from? Who gives you the money? Is it the bank? Do you pay the bank back? Is it an investor? Do you give them shares? Is it private investment? Do you go to your mum and dad and say, can I have some money? And then if they give it to you, what do you do with it? How do you turn that 10,000 into 100,000? You know, there's so many questions around money. And I think, just like anything, if you put a question into ChatGPT or Google and it gives you 100 responses, you're going to be overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with money. You ask one question, you get 100 responses. You're going to get, overwhelmed. So yeah, I think that's the massive amount of information that is out there not being made easy. I think that's probably where that stumbles people a lot, and I'm trying to make money easy. That's what we're trying to do.
So, I love the last thing you said, that you're trying to make money easy. The UK finance landscape, how money moves around the UK. In your perspective, is it fragmented, or does it just feel that way? Because for me as a business owner, I don't think I have the bandwidth to try to run a business, then try to run after tax advantages, tax reliefs, grants. I don't think I have the bandwidth to do. So I want to understand from your perspective, is it fragmented, or does it just feel that way?
Oh, it's completely fragmented, and there's so many things that are backwards with it. And really it comes down to knowing who to talk to and knowing where to go. If you have those two things locked down, then you'll do great. But chances are, as a busy founder, like you said, you're not always going to have those answers. You're not always going to know where to go. I mean, today we're sitting in Barclays Eagle Labs in Glasgow. This is a fantastic resource to help startups push their ideas forward, get access to funding and grants and government support. But before I began Money Insights, I always had the understanding that Barclays was this big corporate bank. You had to be curing cancer to be part of it. It came with a lot of, because I came from the research and development world, I made the bad assumption that it's only companies that are doing really crazy, inventive, wild things that get to be part of this ecosystem. And how silly I think about myself now, because actually that's not the case. It's completely sector agnostic, and they're here to help business owners push forward. But how many months, how many years did I miss out on support because perhaps I just didn't know the right question to ask, or I didn't know the right place to go and find the information? So it is broken also in terms of there's a huge amount of human input, manual input still expected. So for example, it's up to a business owner to ask their accountant, who's a person. It's up to the business owner to go to finance experts like a tax advisor and ask questions. But what I've found in the past is you're only going to ask the question if you know the question.
Yeah.
There's many questions you have no idea to ask because you just don't know that these things are eligible for you. So, an example would be you're going to ask or talk to a research and development tax advisor to do an R&D claim. But what if you're a company that A, has not even heard of R&D, or B, has heard of it but doesn't really know if they qualify or not? They might just let that slip by, and they might assume, oh well, that's probably not for me, so I won't bother looking into it. So they've not asked the right question. The opportunity's not been presented to them in a simple way, so they've missed out. And actually, it turns out, in my experience, many companies have been in that boat. They've missed out when, in actual fact, they were eligible. So there's a lot of broken elements to it. One of my personal pet peeves is government funding, particularly for startups. I feel like if you win a grant as a startup, the money should be given in advance, because you have to pay people. You have to pay tech experts or go-to-market experts or manufacturers. But unfortunately, what happens 9 out of 10 times is you win the grant, but you have to have the funds up front. So you actually have to have the money available to pay your team, and then you get their invoice and you say to the government, okay, I've paid the money, now can I have it back? But startups, where do you get that money from then? How are you supposed to start with 20 grand if you don't have 20 grand? So, there's so many things I would love to change. And then, of course, there's inflation. It's a massive problem. The cost of living in general is huge. So, yeah, there's lots that I could go into.
Wow. Yeah, you did mention you can't ask a question if you don't know about the thing. So, how should founders find out about opportunities for making money, saving money? Should they go to YouTube? Should they go to their accountants? Should they go to random advisors?
Well, I suppose that the first thing I would say is this is what I'm trying to create. So I want Mimi to act like Tinder, right? So Tinder is, whether you love it or you hate it, their technology is really disruptive in the dating industry.
Yes.
They make it very simple to create a profile and then find romantic matches in seconds, right? You swipe right if you like it, you swipe left if you don't. Super, super simple. I want Mimi to treat money that way. I want her to get to know a business, get to know the sector they're in, their financial needs and wants, what their kind of projects and theme is. And then I want her to say, right, Coyote, based on this conversation we've had and based on what I know about you, let me put a whole bunch of matches in front of you. Let me suggest a whole bunch of things that I think that you might like. And together we'll go through them, right or left, which ones you like and which ones you don't. And by doing that, Mimi will then help you uncover those blind spots that you just had no idea existed. So that's what I'm trying to build, because that is what the industry needs. It needs something simple to say, did you know about this? Do you like it? Yes or no, based on these 2, 3, 4 bullet points. Unfortunately, probably what they have to do just now is a lot of manual input. Like I said, a lot of manual effort. So that would be, I would definitely advise getting involved with accelerator hubs. So Barclays, NatWest, Virgin, they have entrepreneurial eco hubs that you can become part of for free. And, that keeps you up to date on webinars and sessions to help you generate revenue organically. It helps you understand funding. It helps you understand investment landscapes. It helps you understand a lot of money topics. But you have to commit yourself. You have to commit time. You have to commit joining webinars, going along to an event, and that's all time consuming. And that goes back to the problem. We're busy founders. We don't have the time to do all that all the time. But of course, these things do exist. Certainly, I would always advise to go to YouTube, follow groups and companies and people that you look up to. So perhaps LinkedIn is a tool that I use religiously every day. And it's a great way for me to see other founders that are going through their own stories. My personal opinion, and it's not for everyone, is to build in public. So to really share as much as you can, don't give away your secret sauce, but as much as you can, share what you're trying to build and make it very clear to your audience that this is not perfect. You are a startup in scrappy mode, and this is what you're trying to do to get to the next stage of your business. And it's incredible the support that you get from people who are urging you on and egging you on to get there, and what can they do to help. And if you're looking for a certain prospect, great, I know 2 people in that space. Give me your content, Karen, I'll share that with them. So building in public is something I would definitely advise many business owners to do, and that involves, putting your business life on social media. And that's where I say not everyone's comfortable with that.
So I again, which still comes back to what we are talking about. What you're currently talking about is building in public. You are a very, very good example of building in public. You are not, you share what we need to know about the business. Even as much as I have been on your LinkedIn, I do not understand what you do like I have just done now. I sort of trying to, I think money insights, I don't care. But right now, like, come on, I've been losing money. And again, it's still, that's the same thing for most business owners around the world, around the United Kingdom, who are potential Mimi user. We will discuss after this some ideas that I have that we can, work together on educating people, educating business owners in this money. It's just flying around. It's just something for you to pay attention to, and you'll be able to be part of. So, what dangerous half-truths do you usually correct with when it comes to all of these things?
So I suppose a big misconception, particularly when you're looking for money, is that I have a great idea, I'm going to go to an investor and they're going to invest in my company. Because why wouldn't they? It's great, right? Just like I thought at the beginning. Why do I not have 100 members on day one? It's great. And I think there's a huge amount of learning when it comes to understanding your business and value proposition, understanding your key target audience, understanding why is your business impressive to an investor, i.e. you might think your lifestyle company is phenomenal, but to an investor, they're going, so you have no assets, no tech, no team, it's just you. So there's a huge amount of misconception around how easy it is to get money from investors just because you believe in your idea. So that's probably a major one. Second, another misconception or maybe half-truth would be that you just go to your accountant. Surely, if I have a question about money, I'll just go to my accountant and ask them. Or my favourite one, my accountant handles that. And your accountant is not the be-all and know-all about money. They are, one person with one brain, and that will have a limited capacity like every other human. Right? That's not me being rude, that's me being real.
Yeah.
And don't forget that accountant also has 10 other clients just like you and just as demanding as you. So they don't have the time to go off looking for all of these financial wonderful wins.
Just for you.
No, they don't. It's up to you as the business owner to find that and then bring it to your accountant and say, what do you think of this? So, going to your accountant, assuming that they're all over everything, that's another big misconception, I'd say.
Wow. That's cool. I think I am part of the people you are helping right now, real life. So how do you help founders know who to trust? I want to know what separates a real expert from a noise or somebody who doesn't know what they are doing. Sure.
So I suppose it's probably important for me to note that I'm not the one that says, Coyote, you have to use this match, this company that I'm talking about. What I want to do is show you that here's a specific money topic that you want to learn more about, and here's a variety of experts that you can go and talk to. And it's up to you then to decide which partner is a good fit for you. Okay, so it's not up to me to tell you which one is best. However, the partners that we have as part of the Money Insights community thus far are companies that I've worked with and respected for years. So I've already passed business to them within the last 7 years. They've done a good job for my clients. We've had some good feedback. In fact, the Maritime example, the grant writer who done the application for them scored the highest out of all the applications, so the best feedback from the assessors. So that kind of proves to me that they know what they're doing, they're well respected in their industry, and the result spoke for itself. Moving forward, as I build Mimi, I will need to come up with a more vetted, document or a more vetted process to understand, why would we be willing to have you as a partner? We need to make sure you're not a cowboy. We need to make sure you're reputable in your field. We need to make sure that you're successful and it's not just stories you're spouting. But I feel like partners so far, they've complemented the way that I work. So they're also talking on social media. They're also wanting to grow. They want to talk about their case studies and their testimonials from clients. So I feel like, that's a nice gel with how I work. But yes, moving forward, it will be a more intense vetted process that I will bring partners through to really make sure that, okay, well, if you're part of the money insights world, this is a trusted financial space amongst business owners, and I need to know that you're part of that. So I will be working on that.
Can I buy a 1% share in me? Yeah, I love the way you are, talking about your business. I feel like investing. So, what are the top 3 stupidly expensive mistakes you see business owners make around tax reliefs, grants, and free money that could come to them?
The biggest mistake is probably their assumption that they can just get it done quickly. So grants, for example, right? I've spotted a grant that looks good. I'll just do it myself. I don't need to pay an expert for it. I'll just write the application myself.
And
I'll just shove it in ChatGPT, shove it in Gemini, get my answers, pop it down. Job's a good one. Off the application goes, right? I should win that. That's a very common way that a lot of founders would take grant applications. And probably the reason for that is because whether you look at it from one way or another, working with experts is expensive. Yeah. This is their day-to-day, their bread and butter. They make a living out of successful results. And for that, you pay the money. So probably the reason that a lot of business owners do their own grant applications and expect it to have a turnaround quickly is possibly down to budget or down to finance. But I see that quite often where they think it's going to happen overnight. That's a big mistake. Mm-hmm. Second mistake is always going out there and asking for money from investors when you haven't sold one product or you haven't even gotten traction on that product. So right now it's just the idea. So Coyote, you're the investor, I'm the business owner. I'm going to pitch you this dream and you're going to come back and say, Karen, it sounds amazing. What do your target audience say about it? And I say, oh, I haven't asked them yet. Like, I'll ask them once I get the money from you, And that happens so often where they haven't done any homework on, is this actually an idea that will work? Is this something people will pay for? And you don't even have to get paying customers. You just have to get some level of commitment. You have to get a survey that says 50% of my target audience said yes, they would buy this, and 50% said no, they wouldn't. And here's the reasons they wouldn't. So we're working on that now. Or you have to get a commitment from a potential prospect to say, if I build this, would you buy it? Here's the terms and conditions. Can you put your name at the bottom of that so I can show an investor that you're serious about this? So there's a lot of mistakes made around that, just assuming that investors will give you money because you like your idea.
Impressive. What do you have to say to accountants right now? Why should they join you, and how will they not lose clients to you?
Okay, so I think it's important to note that an accountant has 2 goals when it comes to their clients. They want to keep them retained long term, and they want to add value to them. Those are 2 main goals. And Money Insights helps them do that. We become a friend to an accountancy practice, not a competitor. Because if you imagine clients, like we said before, ask their accountants all the time, do you know someone who does grants? Do you know someone who does pensions? Do you know someone who does XYZ? And it's a lot for an accountant to have to look through their black book and then remember to make an introduction and then remember to follow up on that. And then once it's done, they think, oh, I hope they don't ask me anything for a wee while, So it takes a lot of extra time from accountants to really add that extra value. However, what Money Insights does is we partner with growth-focused firms. So firms that are really wanting to push the boundaries with their clients. Firms that want to adapt AI and technology and disruptive ways of working, because they know that is what business owners want now. They want growth partners. They don't just want an accountant. They want partners in their team to help them grow financially. And Money Insights is a real value add to an accountant's advisory services. So we do have growth-focused packages available to accountants, and we're very close to signing up our very first one. In fact, maybe when this is live, we will have actually signed it.
Awesome. So I see your content online, and I want you to tell your audience, our audience right now, what's different about your content.
Sure. So because I'm not an accountant and I'm not an IFA and I don't give financial advice, I have the freedom to play around with content. I don't have to be so regulatory with the way I word things. And so I try to make my content as fun as possible, as engaging as possible. So when I take a financial topic like tax, I really dumb it down and just speak layman terms with it. And I do it through video content majority, or ebooks. And within that, I use GIFs and I use memes and I use funny pictures and I swear, because that's relevant to the average Joe business owner, and they appreciate someone real just giving a real picture of what they're looking at and what they're talking about. In fact, recently, and I'll be putting it on my website very soon, I have got an ebook called Grant Funding, the Ultimate Fucking Guide. And it's basically really dumbing down the grants landscape and helping business owners just first of all understand what the hell it looks like, stuff you need to know up front before you put pen to paper, and ways to actually improve your chances of securing grant funding. Because let me tell you, Coyote, it's a long, intense process to write an application and not get anywhere with it. So you really want to give yourself the best chance to win that money. And this grant book just makes it picturesque. It's a mixture of videos and written content.
Awesome. And
it's me sitting in my living room giving you the real idea of what the behind the scenes world of grant funding looks like.
That's really nice. I believe by the time this video is published, it should be on the website, which we are going to put around this video. So let's talk about your reality as a pregnant founder. So since you've announced you are pregnant, have you found people treating you differently? Has it affected the way you go about your business?
Well, I think it's, we can't run away from the fact that female founders in general don't get as much funding and investment as our male counterparts. It's just fact that we don't. And that's why I really appreciate the programs like Pathways to Scale, because that was £50 million from the Scottish Government put aside to help ambitious female founders. And guess what, people? Females are the ones that have babies. We're the ones that have to carry it for 9 months. We're the ones that give birth to it, and we're the ones that are socially and biologically expected to look after that child for at least the first 6 to 9 months out of work. So there's a huge amount of pressure on women building their empires and having families at the same time. And this is obviously a world that I'm now entered into. And so one of the routes I was looking at recently was, okay, if I don't win money through Scottish Edge, and if I don't go for the loan option, and if phase one of me completely flops and I make no commission and no matches, what's left? And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll look at the angel investment network. I'll go out and I'll say, right, to get the next phase of me done, we need to do more research and we need £100,000, blah, 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 blah. And I've been speaking to a few angel investors so far, and I'm just dipping my toe in to see, is this a worthwhile exercise for me to put my time to just now? And the overwhelming feedback is, as soon as you leave the company, we are uninterested in what you're doing. Because if I'm willing to give you my money, Karen, I'm giving it to you. Your vision, your dream, your idea, your concept, your business model. If you're not going to be there, well, I'm out. I'm not interested. And on one side, I can appreciate that. But on the other side, I'm thinking, well, do you want a magic fairy to have this child on my behalf? Would you like me to pass it over to my husband to carry for 6 months? Because that's so easy to do. So I really do find, I understand the limitation in terms of, okay, you're buying into the founder's dream and the founder's not going to be there. But my counteract to that is I have a team, and my priority right now is strengthening that team so that when I do go off on maternity, well, they keep the ship running. they keep the shop open. They continue doing things. They're invested in the company, they're invested in the vision, and they know what to do. They know their roles. And the perk of being self-employed and running my own company is I don't have to take 9 full months completely out the business. I can dip my toe in every Friday. I can, lean on my mum to babysit for a half day on a Wednesday, and I can meet with my coach, or I can meet with my tech expert, or I can, dip into the conversation. So I feel like, I'm trying to be an example of, right, if I can show you that I'm smart enough to understand this situation, put my team in place, secure the funding to pay that team to continue the company growth, well, what's the problem? So I do still find that, unfortunately, until science changes and men start having children instead of us ladies,
I don't want to.
It's not going to happen. It's certainly not in my lifetime. In some spaces that might already be happening, Cody, who knows? But so that I have found that it's an interesting topic when you mention pregnancy. But I've been very open about it because I feel like I really shouldn't have to choose between the two. I'm a smart businesswoman. I've got credentials, I've got expertise, I've got traction, I've had success with the model so far. I have a concept that is high growth and scalable, and I have the team in place to grow that. I don't see why, simply because I'm bringing a child into the world, that should alter my investment
trajectory.
But here we are.
It makes sense. Again, which is why I'm asking this question. I can't assume, because I can never bring a baby into the world. I can never. Which is why I'm, a little bit of follow up to this question is, for most business owners that I know, most business owners can't really just switch it off. Even when you are away from your business, you are still thinking. You find something, you jot it down. We can try this. You are probably going to still be writing on LinkedIn maybe once in a while, even after you have the baby.
Agreed.
So, which I still think is still contributing to the business, even though you may not be the one doing the operations. So, I think for me, for somebody who has run the business the way you've run it, it's bound to succeed, because you are doing a very, very important job of helping business owners, especially people who are just starting up, find money. Find money. You are helping people who are established business owners find more money. I don't know how that can feel. I don't know, sincerely. Thinking of the question to pick that can help a listener right now, somebody who is watching on YouTube right now, or listening on any of our podcasts right now, to help them move from 0 to 1. If they have an idea, they've done the first thing. They are talking to prospective users of the idea. They've built MVP, but they are running out of cash. What are the first 2-3 things you are going to ask them to do?
Well, the first thing would be join Money Insights. Pay £20, commit to that, and in return for that, you will get help to understand what networks are around you that can help you get access to money that you weren't aware of. So this is the hubs here, it's the growth programs, it's the accelerator programs, investor programs. I would also say the educational side of Money Insights, so all about the understanding money, that will be monumental for you as a founder, because like you say, they might be at MVP stage, they might be at traction stage, but there's 100 other stages that they're not aware of. And we share stories from other founders, what they've done. We share insights around things to prepare for, experts that you may need for your next MVP or the next phase of it. So it's really it's being part of that world that helps you stay ahead of things that you just wouldn't have thought of yourself. So I would definitely say that by joining Money Insights, it's simply your way as a founder of taking control from a very cost-effective perspective And it's opening doors that you just wouldn't have thought to open yourself, or you wouldn't have even known the door existed. So I think that that's really the best piece of advice, without trying to pitch myself. It really is. If I was a founder, I would want to join something like Money Insights to go, right, well, I don't have all the answers around money, and I need to grow my business. And in order to do that, I need money. So I want to be part of that world.
Awesome. So Karen, I run a very, very large operation. I'm not a one-man band. How can I benefit from what you are building?
Okay. Have you ever heard of the phrase, you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah.
So in my 10 years plus working with startups and SMEs and corporates, one of the things I've found is it's amazing how many business owners have run a company for years, decades, but they're winging it. And there's 100 topics that they are still not experts in, particularly when it comes to money. And I often find that in family-run businesses where perhaps something's been passed down, and they're going with the model, if it's not broke, don't fix it, But the world changes, technology changes, visions change. And what I would say is that, again, okay, a more established business will have a finance team, for example. But again, I would bet my bottom dollar that finance team is run off its feet. So they are probably super, super busy running the business. And again, missing financial blind spots, missing money that is sitting right there that they've just not peeked at or not looked at. And they've probably not looked at it because they've just never thought of it before. Like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. They've been working the same way for a decade and it's worked. But actually now they're starting to realise that they're moving into a different audience, or they're moving internationally, or they're bringing on a bigger team. So the whole you don't know what you don't know thing will be valid for every company size. And the larger you become, the more complex your financial needs become as well. And that's where Money Insights would open up doors to talking about these finance topics, and then saying, listen, as you grow, you're probably going to need to speak to XYZ experts. Might not be right now, but the doors are there ready for you, and the matches are waiting when you are.
Awesome. That's pretty neat. What advice do you have for any business owner who is thinking about making money, saving money, growing money, understanding money?
So every business owner out there, what advice do I have for them all? Get to know your target audience as deeply as possible. Really get to know who you're selling to, and don't make assumptions on their behalf. Ask them awkward questions, as in, why are you not buying this? Or why are you not engaging with this? Because you want to understand how to speak on their level, and you want to understand how to make your prospect more attractive to them. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm reaching out to my members. I'm really asking them, how can we build Mimi with the beta list? I'm saying, look, I want your feedback. Here's how we think it's going to go. But the more testers that can come on this beta list, the better. And the first beta list will be all around grant matching. So phase 1 is, can Mimi find you the perfect grant? So the kind of beta testers we want there are companies in the innovation space, disruption space, R&D space. And we want to say to them, when it comes to this topic, what would make your life easier? If we're using Mimi in tech, how can she help you better find these grants? And that might be something a lot of business owners shy away from, but we want to pretty much get in bed with our target audience. And that's what I would advise any business owner to do.
Impressive. Karen, what does the next 4 months looks like for you?
Well, the next 4 months is preparation time before Mini Cella makes his way to the world. Cella is my husband's surname, not the baby name. So really what we're looking to do is secure funding so that we can strengthen the team that we have, so that when I am off on maternity, that team can continue running the business. We are pitching at the semi-finals of Scottish Edge at the end of October. So again, by the time this comes to air, we may be through to the finals, who knows, or we may not be, but we're giving that a good bash. And the big thing right now is the phase 1 of Mimi. So she's being launched early next month, and we are looking to generate as many money matches in the grant space as possible between now and January. The intention is that we get 250 beta testers. We match 50 of them to grant writers, and we help between 10 to 15 of them secure a grant. That would be ideal. That would be a fantastic result. And that would generate the company, well, it would generate millions for the members and thousands in fees for the partners, and it would generate Money Insights, the revenue we need to sustain being off on maternity. So that's the waving the magic wand. What we're working on the next 4 months, of course, we're looking to up the member users, the member volume. We're looking to reach out to more accountants and encourage them to take a look at our growth partnership packages. But really it's about the next 4 months is getting Mimi out there, excitement about her build, securing as much funding as we can, and really just, crossing our legs, toes, arms, everything, and praying to the gods that they're on our side.
Yeah. I'm sure you are going to win the Scottish Edge thing. I can bet my money on
Fingers
it.
crossed.
I wish you all the best as we expect the baby and for the business too. And thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Wonderful pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.